In my first life, a church bell fell through the roof of my delivery van and killed me before I finished lunch. In my second, the awakening crystal rang with that same voice and gave me the only class in Aster Academy with 0 combat skills. For 3 quiet seconds, 800 students stared at the crystal. Then Ronan laughed. He had awakened as a flame knight 10 minutes earlier. Golden fire still curled around his shoulders. He looked like an expensive lamp that had learned to insult people. "Bell ringer," he said. "Do you receive a weapon, Evan? Or do you defeat monsters by telling them class has started?" The hall exploded with laughter. I looked at the crystal again. Its blue surface showed no sword mark, no shield mark, and no spell mark. There was only a small bronze bell. Master Garen stepped onto the platform. He ran the Academy Discipline Office and supervised every service class. His black coat had enough silver buttons to pay my food bill for a year. "The result is final," he announced. "Bell ringer is a service class of the lowest grade. It has no combat skill, no healing skill, and no registered advancement." The public ranking board changed behind him. My name fell past the warriors, past the cooks, and past a boy whose class allowed him to warm bathwater. It stopped at 1,240th place. Last. Another wave of laughter moved through the hall. I did not argue. Numbers were more useful than noise. I had 1 level, 10 points of resonance that did nothing, and 17 copper coins in my pocket. Arguing with 800 people would improve none of those figures. Garen lifted a paper bearing the Academy seal. "Combat scholarships are reserved for useful classes. Evan's scholarship of 30 gold a year is revoked. He will leave the East Dormitory before sunset." That part was not a class rule. My entrance scores had earned the scholarship before awakening. A few instructors knew it. None of them spoke. Ronan smiled because his family funded half of the East Dormitory. He took a gray service cord from an attendant and walked onto the platform. "Allow me," he said. He tied the cord around my sleeve in front of everyone. He pulled the knot too tight. The students in the front rows clapped. "There," Ronan said. "Now nobody will mistake you for a hero." "That was already unlikely," I said. "Heroes usually know how to tie a straight knot." The front row went silent. Then someone snorted. Ronan looked down. The knot had twisted into a fat lump beneath his fingers. It resembled a small dead rat. A few students laughed at him instead. His smile became thinner. Garen struck the floor with his cane. "Enough. The Western Bell Tower requires a keeper. The wage is 3 silver a week with a room beside the tower. Evan will report there immediately." 3 silver a week was less than the Academy paid to clean mud from training boots. The Western Tower had been abandoned for 11 years. Everyone knew its stairs leaned, its roof leaked, and its bells were decorative relics. The crowd understood the message. I had not merely received a useless class. I had been placed where no important student would need to see me. Garen held out the work order. "Do you accept?" I took it. "The room is included?" He blinked. "Yes." "Then I accept." Ronan stared at me as if I had thanked him for kicking me into a ditch. The East Dormitory charged 2 gold a month after a scholarship ended. The tower room cost nothing. My new position was humiliating, dangerous, and financially superior to sleeping outside. I left the platform while the next student was called. My old classmates moved aside. Shame appeared to be contagious. Only one person followed me. She wore the plain blue dress of a tower priestess and carried a basket covered with white cloth. Her brown hair had been tied back with a piece of bell rope. She was small, but the basket looked heavy enough to contain a very disappointed pig. "You dropped this," she said. Her name was Lyra. I had seen her light the tower lamps before dawn, but we had never spoken. She gave me my meal token. Ronan must have pulled it from my pocket when he tied the cord. "Thank you." "I also heard what you said about the room," she replied. "That was either very calm or very strange. The 2 gold I save each month will remain calm even if I do not." She considered this and nodded. "That makes sense." That was the first kind answer I received that day. The Western Tower stood beyond the training fields. Its stone body leaned slightly toward the Academy, like an old man trying to hear gossip. Ivy covered the lower windows. Pigeons occupied the upper ones and seemed offended that I had arrived without paying rent. Lyra unlocked the door. Cold dust rolled out. "I perform the morning and evening rites," she explained. "Master Garen controls the repair budget. He has rejected every request for 6 years." Inside, 12 ropes hung from a ceiling lost in darkness. Most were gray with rot. Brass nameplates marked the bells above us. Clarity, Mercy, Guard, Truth. The remaining names had been hidden under dust and green corrosion. "Do any of them work?" I asked. "The small class bell works if you pull hard. The others make expensive coughing sounds." I pulled the class rope once. Something far above gave a dull clunk. Lyra was right. It sounded like a metal cupboard falling down one stair and changing its mind. We climbed. The tower room contained a narrow bed, a table, and a stove with one good leg. The window faced the whole academy. From there, I could see the marble awakening hall, the red dormitory roofs, and the public ranking board that still displayed my name at the bottom. On the next floor, we found the class bell. It was larger than I expected. Dust covered its bronze surface. The iron tongue hung crooked, and the rope had worn almost through. I touched the metal. For one instant, I heard a whisper beneath my palm. Not a sound, a word. "Wake." I pulled my hand back. "Did it move?" Lyra asked. "No." The bell remained still. My class remained useless. Yet the skin on my fingers vibrated as if I had struck the bronze. I spent the afternoon working. My old life had not made me a master craftsman. I had delivered machine parts and repaired enough broken doors to know that rust did not respect noble titles. Lyra showed me the tower tools. We removed the rotten rope, cleaned the hinge, and scraped 11 years of dirt from the bell. At sunset, the other bells rang the end of lessons from the eastern tower. The western bell remained silent. Students crossing the field pointed at our window. Ronan stood among them in his golden training coat. He raised both hands and pretended to pull an invisible rope. His friends bent over laughing. Lyra watched them. "You do not have to finish tonight," she said. "My first shift started when I took the order. Garen will not care if this bell works. I care if the object hanging over my bed can fall through the floor. I have experience with that problem." She did not understand the old joke, but she smiled anyway. At midnight, we fitted the new rope. I had spent 12 copper on oil and 5 copper on a replacement pin. My total wealth had reached 0. It was a familiar number. Lyra held the lamp while I tightened the final bolt. The academy clock struck 12 times from the eastern tower. After the last note faded, a 13th strike sounded inside my skull. Every lamp in the western tower turned blue. The class bell trembled beneath my hand. A calm voice spoke inside my mind. It did not give me a list or a glowing window. It simply told me what my class had always been meant to become. Bell ringer was the first step. Herald of Truth waited beyond it. Lord of Bells waited after that. At the end stood Keeper of the 13th Chime. There was only one gift. I could hear the true voice of a bell. If I restored a bell with my own hands and rang it for the purpose chosen by its maker, I could awaken that voice. In this world, classes never learned skills outside their fixed path. Tools carried magic placed inside them and nothing more. My gift broke that rule. I would not gain power from my body. I would wake power that the world had allowed to sleep. The cleaned bell whispered its name. Clarity. I understood its cost at once. A true strike would consume all 10 points of my resonance. Its effect would reach 30 paces. Until the next sunrise, it would be an ordinary bell again. "Evan," Lyra whispered, "your eyes are glowing." "How much?" "Enough to be alarming." "Good. Stand behind the support beam." That was not the answer I wanted. She moved anyway. I wrapped both hands around the rope. Below us, voices crossed the tower courtyard. Ronan and 20 student monitors were returning from the celebration dinner. Hundreds of dormitory windows faced the tower. Garen stood near the gate, inspecting the night patrol. It was a larger audience than I wanted, but the bell had waited 11 years. I decided it could wait no longer. I pulled. The tongue struck bronze. The note passed through my bones. Blue light expanded from the bell. It flowed through the walls, across the courtyard, and over every person within 30 paces. Dust vanished from hidden carvings. Painted boards became transparent. A sealed stair appeared behind a false wall beside Lyra. Then someone screamed below. Ronan's golden coat had lost its glamour. A black monobrace surrounded his right arm. 3 illegal crystals had been sewn beneath his sleeve. Thin tubes ran from the brace into the skin near his wrist. During awakening, the device had added 300 points to his fire reading. 600 students leaned from their windows. For 1 perfect second, nobody spoke. Then the courtyard erupted. He cheated. That is a rank amplifier. The bell exposed it. Ronan covered the brace with both hands. The effort was similar to hiding a horse beneath a handkerchief. Garen pushed through the monitors. His face had gone pale. Remove that device, he ordered. It is medical, Ronan said. The bell's blue light still covered him. The false medical seal on the brace peeled away. Beneath it was the mark of an illegal betting house. The laughter that followed was much louder than the laughter in the awakening hall. Ronan looked up at the tower. He found me beside the bell and pointed. He cursed me! A curse cannot alter an academy seal, Lyra called from the window. Her voice carried over the silent courtyard. It can only reveal one. 2 instructors examined the brace. One of them read the serial mark aloud. The betting house had reported it stolen 3 months earlier. Garen could not bury the matter with 600 witnesses and a public-ranking crystal recording everything. He ordered the patrol to take Ronan to the discipline hall. Ronan's corrected fire score appeared on the board. He dropped from 3rd place to 62nd. My own name moved. The Academy awarded 40 merit points for exposing a restricted artifact. I rose from 1,240th place to 403rd. The city offered 12 gold for the stolen brace. My level rose from 1 to 3. My maximum resonance increased from 10 to 30. The hidden name, Herald of Truth, settled into my class like a second heartbeat. All of it happened before the students who had laughed at me managed to close their mouths. I looked down at Garen. Master, I called. Does the Academy still consider the Western Bell decorative? Every face turned toward him. His silver buttons seemed less bright. The matter will be reviewed, he said. It was not an apology. It was, however, spoken in front of 600 people who had heard him declare my class useless that morning. That was enough for one day. The blue light faded. My knees weakened, but I remained standing. Power had a clear price. 10 points of resonance were gone. A high ringing filled my ears. If I forced another true strike before sunrise, the bell warned that I could damage my hearing. I had gained a weapon that could not cut anyone, could be used once a day, and weighed more than a house. It was still the best weapon I had ever owned. Lyra opened the newly revealed stair. Food first, she said. Secret passage second. You look like a sheet of paper that has seen a ghost. The tower cottage smelled different when we returned. While I washed the bronze dust from my hands, Lyra heated the contents of her basket. She filled 2 clay bowls with beef stew. Thick pieces of meat rested beneath onions, carrots, and dark sauce. She cut a round loaf, toasted the slices on the stove, and spread butter over them until the edges shone. A small dish of honey waited between us. I had died before lunch in my first world. I had learned not to ignore dinner in my second. The first spoonful was hot enough to punish impatience. The beef fell apart against my tongue. I ate slowly after that. I knew you did not deserve what happened in the hall, Lyra said. You knew nothing about me. I knew you repaired the class rope after they took your scholarship. You could have let it fail tomorrow and blamed Garen. Students would have missed breakfast inspection. Exactly. She pushed the honey toward me. That was when I understood what made her different. Everyone else had noticed the light, the ranking, or the gold. Lyra had noticed the rope before any of those things existed. After we ate, we climbed the hidden stair. It led above the 12 public bells to a chamber that should not have fit inside the roof. Silver chains crossed the walls. Hundreds of old seals covered a shape at the center. The clarity bell had removed the outer illusion. Behind the seals hung a 13th bell. It was black, smooth, and large enough to swallow a carriage. No tongue hung inside it. A narrow socket had been cut through the crown, and pale dust covered the floor beneath it. Lyra knelt and touched the dust. "Bone," she said. The black bell whispered to me. Its voice was made from many human voices speaking together. The tongue was never lost, they said. Someone had already made it from the bone of the first hero. At sunrise, the bell tower tried to kill me with paperwork. Master Garen arrived carrying 6 inspection forms, 3 assistants, and the expression of a man who had discovered that his rug could speak about everything hidden beneath it. I met him at the tower door. Lyra stood beside me with the ring of keys. Behind Garen, nearly 200 students had gathered in the grass. News of Ronan's brace had crossed the academy before breakfast. Half the crowd wanted to see the useless bell ringer perform another miracle. The other half wanted to see the tower fall on me. I understood both interests. Garen held up a sealed order. The Western Tower will undergo an emergency safety inspection at noon. If any major structure fails, the tower will be closed and dismantled. It has been neglected for 11 years, Lyra said. Of course something will fail. Then it should not remain above students. His answer sounded responsible. That made it more dangerous. The 13th bell was hidden again. When the Clarity Bell's light faded, the seals had covered the upper chamber. Garen did not know we had seen it. If he demolished the tower, he could remove whatever remained before another true strike exposed it. "Who signed the previous safety reports?" I asked. One of his assistants looked at the ground. Garen smiled. "You should worry about today's report." He gave me until noon. The city guard arrived as he left. They carried the illegal brace inside a locked iron box and gave me 12 gold coins for identifying it. The captain counted them into my hands while students watched. One night earlier, I had owned 17 copper. Now, 12 gold rested in my palms. 1 gold equaled 100 silver. 1 silver equaled 100 copper. My wealth had increased by a number large enough to make my old poverty look like a rounding error. The public board also confirmed my 40 merit points and 403rd place. Students who had moved away from me after awakening now moved closer. One boy offered to carry my tools. Another said he had always respected bells. A third tried to sell me a portrait of myself that he had painted during breakfast. In the portrait, I had much broader shoulders. I almost bought it. Lyra chased them from the doorway. "We have 4 hours," she said. "Where do we start?" "With the structure most likely to kill an inspector." That does not narrow it enough. We climbed to the Mercy Bell. It hung above an old wooden platform on the 3rd level. The bronze had a long crack beside its lower rim. Silver wire once stitched the damage, but most of it had been cut away. The support beams beneath the platform were painted black. Fresh paint covered old wood. The bell whispered when I touched it. 31. "What does that mean?" Lyra asked after I repeated the word. "I do not know yet." Its true name was Mercy. To awaken it, I needed to close the crack with pure silver and restore the frame. The Academy workshop had silver wire, but Garen's order prohibited staff from giving us supplies until after the inspection. That was clever. If the tower passed, he lost. If it failed, he could say he had followed procedure. I took 8 of my 12 gold and went to the city smith. The crowd followed. 8 gold could have paid for food and a room for many months. Spending it before lunch hurt more than the awakening crystal. I bought 2 coils of pure silver wire, 4 iron brackets, and a jar of resin. The smith tested every piece in front of the students and stamped the receipt. Public evidence had become valuable. I intended to collect it whenever possible. Back at the tower, Lyra heated the silver. I removed the damaged wire and cleaned the crack. We worked without speaking for an hour. The crowd watched through the open doors and passed reports to students outside. Every repaired section fed a faint vibration into my class. My level rose to 4 when the crack closed. It rose to 5 when we replaced the final support bracket. My maximum resonance climbed from 30 to 70. The Mercy Bell gave me its rules. A true strike would heal every living creature inside 30 paces. Minor wounds cost 1 point of resonance. Broken bones and deep wounds cost 2. Anything beyond that would cost more than I possessed. The bell would not create flesh from nothing, and it would not return the dead. There was another price, but the voice did not explain it. It only repeated the same number. 31. At noon, Garen returned with 3 official inspectors and 30 student monitors. The audience had grown to more than 300. They filled the courtyard and the lower galleries. A crystal recorder floated beside the door. Ronan came last. He no longer wore gold fire around his shoulders. The discipline office had removed the illegal brace and suspended him from combat practice. A plain bandage covered his wrist. His corrected ranking remained at 62nd for everyone to see. Whispers followed him. He looked at me, then at the ground. For the first time, he did not laugh. Garen led the inspectors up the stairs. He tapped walls, examined ropes, and made notes. His assistants pointed out every cracked stone. None of them mentioned the new silver on the mercy bell. On the 3rd level, Garen ordered the monitors onto the wooden platform. A service platform must support 40 people, he said. We will test it. Lyra stared at the black beams. That platform was built for 12. The current regulation requires 40. The current regulation was written 5 years after the tower closed. Garen's smile remained smooth. Then the tower is outdated. The monitors stepped onto the platform. Some hesitated, but refusing an order from the discipline master could cost merit points. Sarah, the student council president, came with them to observe the process. She had straight black hair, a white council coat, and the still face of someone who had spent years listening to foolish people with authority. The platform groaned under 31 people. The mercy bell whispered louder. 31. I understood. Get them off, I said. Garen raised one hand. The test has begun. I grabbed the clarity bell's smaller control rope. Since sunrise had passed, its true voice was available again. I limited the strike to half its range. It would cost 5 points. I pulled once. Blue light swept across the 3rd level. The black paint vanished from the support beams. Deep cuts appeared beneath it. Someone had sawn almost through all 4 supports and painted over the damage. An old inspection seal glowed on the nearest beam. Garen's seal. The crowd below gasped. Then the platform broke. 31 people dropped. The fall was only 1 floor, but bodies struck stairs, railings, and stone. I heard bones snap. The mercy bell swung as the broken platform tore one of its guide ropes free. Garen landed on the safe side of the upper gallery. He looked down at the injured students and shouted the first defense that entered his mind. The bell ringer altered the supports. 300 witnesses had just watched the clarity bell reveal cuts beneath years of paint. It was not his best defense. Lyra ran to the fallen students. One inspector had a broken leg. A monitor could not move his left arm. Blood ran from Sarah's temple. Groans filled the tower. 31 injured, Lyra called. The number matched. I had 65 points of resonance left. Healing 31 serious injuries would cost 62. The bell had warned me before the accident. It had not predicted the future. It had counted the lives that its maker expected me to save. I climbed onto the cracked frame and seized the new rope. Everyone stay where you are, I said. Garen leaned over the rail. Do not ring an uncertified artifact. Your certified platform is on the floor. I am trying something else. A laugh escaped someone in the courtyard. It spread quickly, even among the frightened students. I pulled the rope. The mercy bell rang. Its note was low and warm. Golden light poured through the tower. It passed into every injured body and outlined each wound. Broken bones straightened, cuts closed. Bruises faded from purple to yellow and then vanished. The inspector's leg moved beneath him. The student with the damaged arm flexed his fingers. Blood disappeared from Sarah's face without leaving a mark. One by one, all 31 people stood. The courtyard became silent. Then the first inspector jumped twice on his healed leg. 300 voices exploded at once. Students cheered from the stairs. Monitors hugged each other. Someone began counting the healed aloud. When the count reached 31, the entire courtyard shouted the number back. Garen remained above them beside his glowing seal. The mercy bell had not healed his reputation. That was when I discovered its hidden price. Every trace of exhaustion it removed entered me. My knees folded. My arms became heavy. It felt as if I had climbed the tower 31 times while carrying Ronan's ego on my back. Lyra caught me before I struck the frame. "You knew this would happen?" she demanded. "I knew there was a price." That was not my question. Then no. Better. I was worried your class had damaged your brain. Below us, Sarah ordered the student council to preserve the recorder crystal. 2 inspectors climbed to Garen's seal. They scraped the revealed wood and found the cuts were at least 4 years old. Garen tried to leave. 31 healed monitors blocked the stairs. Nobody touched him. They simply stood shoulder to shoulder and watched as he turned around. The chief inspector read his preliminary finding aloud. The platform had been deliberately weakened years earlier, then certified as safe under Garen's authority. The western tower would remain open until a full investigation ended. Garen would lose control of its repair budget immediately. The announcement reached the courtyard. Students who had once called the tower useless now applauded its continued existence. The reaction spread before the inspectors finished writing. Students copied the result onto meal notices, club posters, and the tournament schedule. By afternoon, the academy shop had sold every small brass bell it owned. 3 healing instructors examined the same straight bones and vanished cuts. Each signed the recorder log in front of the crowd. Garen had called the healing a trick. Now 31 living witnesses and 3 licensed instructors had placed their names beneath it. The Academy Insurance Office awarded me 30 gold for preventing permanent injuries. My remaining 4 gold became 34. The Academy added 100 merit points to my record. My total reached 140, and my ranking moved from 403rd to 97th. My level rose from 5 to 6. My maximum resonance remained 70, but the Mercy Bell left a new golden mark inside my class. I could now sense injured lives within the range of any bell I had awakened. Garen watched my name climb the public board. "This proves nothing about your class," he said quietly. The healed inspector beside him heard. "It proves more than your inspection did," the man replied. The students laughed. Garen walked away through them with his black coat closed tightly around him. One silver button fell off and rolled across the stones. Nobody picked it up. Ronan remained near the door. "I did not cut those beams," he said. "I know. The cuts are older than your talent for bad decisions." His jaw tightened, but he accepted the answer. "My father gave me the brace," he said. "His contract required me to remain in the top 5. If I lost the contract, his clinic lost its sponsor." That explained the cheating. It did not excuse planting every laugh on me that morning. "Your corrected score still places you at 62nd, I said. "Train from there." "You make that sound simple." "No, I make it sound measurable." He looked up at the repaired bell. Then he left without another insult. By evening, my body felt like wet sand. Lyra took me to the cottage and ordered me to sit. She filled the stove with dry wood and placed a deep iron pot over the flame. Chicken browned in butter first. She added chopped onions, carrots, and garlic. The smell filled the little room before the broth began to boil. Wide noodles softened in the golden soup. She finished it with green herbs and black pepper. I ate 2 bowls. Lyra pushed a third toward me. "The bell transferred 31 people's fatigue," she said. "You need more than 2 bowls." "Is that a medical calculation?" "It is a tower calculation. Eat." The noodles were soft, the chicken was rich, and the broth warmed my hands through the bowl. Fresh bread waited beside it with a crust that cracked when I tore it. Lyra had burned 2 fingers while sealing the silver wire. The Mercy Bell had removed the blisters along with everyone else's injuries. She turned her healed hand beneath the lamp. "People will come tomorrow," she said. "Some will need help. Some will want to use you." I charged the second group more. She smiled. "Good." The smile faded when I told her what the bell had whispered after the healing. It had counted 30 human lives. Then it had counted one life carrying both human and demon blood. We reviewed every person on the platform. The inspectors were registered humans. The monitors had passed entrance screening. Only one person had stood apart from the others after the fall. 3 slow knocks sounded at the cottage door. Lyra reached for the iron poker. I stood, though my legs objected. When I opened the door, Sarah waited outside in her white student council coat. The wound on her temple was gone. In the moonlight, her eyes had changed from gray to deep red. "Your bell discovered something," she said. "We need to speak before Master Garen discovers it too." There had been one demon-blooded person inside the healing range, and she was standing at my door. The next morning began before the previous night had properly ended. Sarah entered the cottage, removed her white council coat, and placed a knife on the table. Lyra tightened her grip on the iron poker. "If you plan to attack us," I said, "showing us the knife first was poor strategy." "It is silver," Sarah replied. "I want you to test me." She pressed the blade against her palm. A thin red line appeared. Smoke did not rise. Her skin did not burn. She bled like a human. "Church stories claim silver destroys demons," she said. "Pure demons, perhaps. I am not one. My father was human. My mother crossed the northern gate 20 years ago and deserted the demon army." Lyra lowered the poker slightly. "Why did your eyes change?" "Strong healing removed the drops I used to hide them." Sarah set 3 sealed documents beside the knife. One was her birth record. One confirmed that her mother had died defending a human village. The final document listed Sarah's academy service. She had stopped 11 duels, found 4 missing students, and managed emergency food during last winter's storm. "You prepared a very complete confession," I said. "I have prepared it every night for 7 years." That answer removed the small amount of humor from the room. She offered me a purse. 200 gold. "It is everything I have saved. Keep my identity secret until I graduate." The purse was heavy. 200 gold would repair several bells. It would also purchase a comfortable house far from the academy and enough food to become comfortably round inside it. I pushed it back. The healing bell detected blood. It did not detect guilt. Sarah studied me. "Is that a refusal or a promise?" "It is an invoice. You owe nothing because I am selling nothing." Lyra put down the poker. She cleaned Sarah's cut and wrapped the hand with a strip of cloth. There was no romantic softness between them, only the practical care of one person refusing to let another drip blood on the breakfast table. Sarah gave us the useful part of her warning. The Church of the White Sun controlled every licensed demon test in the kingdom. Its capital office taught that demon blood always corrupted the mind. If the healing bell could identify mixed blood without killing the person, it threatened that monopoly. Master Garen had sent a message to the capital before dawn. "He accused your bells of using forbidden demon magic," Sarah said. "He has called a public tribunal for midday. If you fail to prove a legal origin, he can seize the tower under emergency law." "Can he lead a tribunal while under investigation?" Lyra asked. "Until the inspectors remove him, yes. He wrote that regulation himself." Garen continued to impress me. Every trap had a proper form and 3 copies. Sarah put on her coat. "As student council president, I must attend the hearing. I cannot appear to support you before evidence is presented." "Then present the evidence accurately." "You are calm for a man who may lose his tower in 6 hours. It is difficult to lose a tower quietly. I expect witnesses." By breakfast, 500 students had gathered around the tribunal courtyard. Garen had posted his accusation on every announcement board. According to him, I had used unregistered magic to attack Ronin, sabotaged a platform, and performed mass healing with a class that possessed no healing skill. Each charge carried expulsion. The last carried a possible prison term. Someone had drawn a small bell beside the notice. Someone else had drawn Garen beneath it, being flattened. The art was improving quickly. I needed evidence that the magic came from the academy bells. The clarity bell could reveal falsehoods. but it could not force Garen to explain why his seal covered damaged beams. The 13th bell remained sealed. The mercy bell could heal his face if honesty injured it, but that seemed unlikely to help. One untouched bronze nameplate remained on the 4th level. Truth. The truth bell was smaller than mercy and darker than clarity. Its tongue had been removed. The empty hinge showed marks from a saw. Someone had not allowed it to decay. Someone had deliberately silenced it. Its true voice asked for a new tongue made from mirror bronze and a chain containing 13 silver links. The city smith had enough mirror bronze. The price was 15 gold. I had 34. Lyra looked at me while I counted the coins. You spent 8 gold yesterday. I earned 30. You could save some. That is what I am doing. I am saving the tower. She smiled and took the coin purse. Then I will make sure the smith does not charge you 16. We carried the broken tongue through the academy. Students followed us again. Garen's assistants followed the students. Sarah sent 2 council scribes to follow Garen's assistants. By the time we reached the smithy, our quiet repair trip looked like a parade organized by suspicious ducks. The smith cast the new tongue while everyone watched. I hammered the 13 silver links closed. Lyra polished the bronze until I could see my face in it. The moment we attached the chain, the bell spoke. Its true strike would cost 40 points of resonance. For 1 minute, no person who heard its voice could knowingly speak a lie. The bell would accept 3 clear questions. It could force an answer, but it could not decide whether the truth was kind, fair, or useful. That last warning mattered. Truth was a blade without a handle. The person holding it could bleed first. Restoring the bell raised my level from 6 to 8. My resonance increased from 70 to 100. The hidden class name Herald of Truth became complete. I could now direct a true voice through any connected bell rope instead of standing beside the bronze. It was not enough to make me powerful everywhere. It made the tower more dangerous to anyone standing inside it. At midday, Garen took the tribunal platform. 500 students filled the stone seats. Instructors occupied the front row. The 3 safety inspectors sat beside the academy director. Recorder crystals floated over the crowd. The public merit board stood behind the judges. Ronan attended in a plain uniform. He sat alone at first. When other students noticed the empty seats around him, some laughed. He remained where he was. I understood that kind of public silence. It had surrounded me 1 day earlier. Garen read the charges. He spoke for 20 minutes. By the end, he had described me as a criminal mastermind who had somehow planned years of tower neglect before awakening my class. Do you deny using an unregistered power? He asked. No. The crowd stirred. Garen smiled. Then you confess. You asked whether the power was registered. It was not. You did not ask whether it was illegal. His smile stopped. I placed the smith's receipt, the old bell record, and the repair materials before the judges. Lyra testified that the bells belonged to Aster Academy and had been cast under a royal charter. The charter allowed the tower keeper to restore and ring them. Garen lifted the original class registry. A bell ringer has no magic. Therefore, these effects cannot belong to his class. They must come from an outside source. Correct, I said. Another murmur crossed the seats. The source is the bell. I pulled the control rope beside the witness rail. Far above us, the truth bell rang. The sound descended through the tower and rolled across the tribunal courtyard. Dark silver light settled over every mouth. Students touched their throats. One instructor whispered that he hated the director's hat, then covered his lips in horror. The academy director slowly removed the hat. I faced Garen. First question. Who ordered the Western bells silenced, and where did their repair money go? Garen's jaw locked. His face became red. The bell pulled the answer from him 1 word at a time. Bishop Oren ordered me to close the tower 6 years ago. The academy received 2,400 gold for repairs. 600 went to Oren's private office. 600 paid secret fees that kept the church from inspecting students with mixed blood. I kept 1,200. 500 people stopped breathing together. Garen's expensive black coat suddenly explained itself. The academy director stood. "You stole 1,200 gold?" "Yes," Garen said, "because the bell allowed nothing else. I spent 300 on the coat." Every eye moved to the coat. It was a very nice coat. It was not 300 gold nice. Laughter broke across the courtyard. Garen tried to close the coat. One of the silver buttons popped free, struck the witness rail, and landed in the director's water cup. The laughter doubled. Garen pointed at me. "He is distracting you. Ask why the bell identified demon blood yesterday. Ask whether a demon is hiding among us." The truth bell heard a clear question from inside its field. Its silver light tightened. I felt the second question leave the bell before I could stop it. "I carry demon blood," Sarah said. Her voice was calm and loud. The laughter died. She rose from the student council bench. Her gray eye drops had begun to fail. Red spread across both irises. Students backed away. An instructor reached for a sword. Someone shouted that the president had deceived them. Garen seized the moment. "You see? I protected this academy from the church because creatures like her had entered it. My methods were necessary." His confession contained part of the truth. That made it stronger than a simple lie. Sarah stood alone beneath 500 frightened faces. Ronan moved first. He left his empty seat and stepped into the path of the instructor's sword. "She pulled me from a fire drill last year," he said. "Ask what she has done, not what blood she has." The words surprised everyone, including him. I had one question remaining. I looked at Sarah. "Have you knowingly harmed a human, aided a demon attack, or betrayed Aster Academy?" "No," she answered. The bell held her voice steady. Every recorder crystal captured it. Then Garen answered the same question. "Yes." All faces turned toward him. He had remained inside the field. My question had not named Sarah. It had reached everyone who heard it. "Explain," the director ordered. The minute of truth had not ended. Garen's shoulders dropped. "I sent tower schedules and student blood records to Oren. I allowed his agents to enter the academy without inspection. I believed he would expose Sarah and others if I refused. Later, I continued because he paid me." His motivation stood in the open. He had once paid to protect students. Then fear became habit, and habit became profit. He had not begun as a monster. He had simply discovered that cowardice came with a comfortable coat. The silver light faded. For several seconds, the tribunal remained silent. Then the chief safety inspector placed Garen under arrest. 2 guards removed his authority seal. The academy director ordered his accounts frozen and the western tower transferred to independent control. Students in every row watched him step down from the same platform where he had tried to expel me. Garen stopped beside Sarah. "The church will not accept your answer," he told her. "The academy did," she replied. The student council scribes stood beside their president. Ronan remained in front of her until the instructor lowered his sword. One by one, students returned to their seats. They did not all trust Sarah. Fear did not vanish because a bell rang. But they had heard proof that she had never betrayed them, and they had heard Garen admit that he had. That difference was enough to change the crowd. The tribunal dismissed every charge against me. The city audit office paid an 80 gold reward for evidence recovering stolen public funds. After spending 15 gold on the bell, my wealth rose from 34 to 99 gold. The academy awarded 260 additional merit points. My total became 400. My ranking moved from 97th to 12th. My level rose from 8 to 10. My resonance increased from 100 to 130. The director named me acting keeper of the Western Tower and announced it before every recorder crystal. The same students who had applauded when Garen removed my scholarship now stood as my name entered the top 12. Their reaction came in waves. First surprise, then shouting, then a chant began in the upper seats. "Ring the bell! Ring the bell!" I did not ring it again. The truth bell had 1 true strike per day, and 500 students had already revealed more than they planned. The academy director put his hat back on. The crowd booed. He removed it again. That received the loudest cheer of the afternoon. We returned to the cottage after sunset. Lyra had prepared small meat pies before the tribunal. She warmed them in the stove until the crusts turned deep gold. Steam escaped when I broke the first one. Beef, onions, and soft potatoes filled the center. She served them with roasted carrots glazed in butter and a bowl of sharp berry sauce. Sarah sat across from us without her eye drops. She had returned the knife and the 200 gold to her room. Her red eyes looked less threatening while she tried to eat a hot pie too quickly. Ronan stood at the open door. "There are only 3 chairs," he said. "That is an accurate observation," I replied. He placed a bundle of legal training rope on the table. "The discipline office confiscated my equipment. I had already paid for this. The tower needs it more." It was not an apology, but it had useful tensile strength. Lyra gave him a pie wrapped in cloth. He accepted it and left. Sarah watched him cross the yard. "He may become tolerable in several years," she said. "That is an optimistic estimate," Lyra replied. There was no flirtation in Sarah's voice, and none in mine. She spoke to me as the keeper of an asset she intended to protect. Lyra was the person who noticed when my hands shook from the truth bell and quietly moved the warmest plate closer. We had almost finished eating when all 12 public bells gave a soft, frightened vibration. A messenger hawk struck the window hard enough to lose 3 feathers and most of its dignity. A red tube bearing the Church of the White Sun was tied to its leg. Sarah opened the message. Bishop Oren would arrive for the Academy Festival the next day. He was bringing 13 licensed demon hunters. He would inspect every student, seize every unregistered bell, and arrest anyone obstructing church authority. A final line had been written in Garen's confession code. Oren had obtained the missing tongue of the 13th bell. The message crystal inside the tube projected his face over our dinner table. He was smiling as he lifted a long object sealed in a silver case. Inside lay a tongue carved from the bone of the first hero. By noon on the 4th day, 8,000 guests had entered Aster Academy for the annual festival. They brought bright tents, music, roasted meat, sugar cakes, and enough hidden weapons to make the city guard nervous. Students performed spells in the courtyards. Merchants covered the training field with colored cloth. Children waited in lines to ride floating wooden horses. Above them, the Western Tower watched like an old guard who had not been invited to the party. Bishop Oren arrived through the main gate beneath a white canopy. 13 demon hunters marched around him in polished armor. Each carried a sun-shaped detector on a chain. Behind them rolled a golden testing arch twice the height of a man. Priests announced that it had cost 500 gold and could identify a demon through 6 layers of illusion. Oren himself wore white robes, a gold collar, and a smile so clean it probably had its own servant. He stopped below the public ranking board. My name stood in 12th place. "Evan," he called, "come down from the tower." Recorder crystals turned toward us. Festival guests crowded around the square. Oren had selected the largest possible audience before saying my name. I respected the method, if not the man. Lyra and I crossed the courtyard. Sarah walked with the student council on our right. Ronan followed with a coil of new rope over one shoulder. Since losing his amplifier, he had stopped dressing like a burning chandelier. Oren displayed a capital order. "Your temporary appointment is revoked. The church has determined that the Western bells are unlicensed relics. They will remain silent during the festival." "The Academy owns them under a royal charter," I said. "The charter covers ordinary bells, not demon artifacts." He opened the silver case. The bone tongue lay on black velvet. It was the length of my arm. Old symbols had been carved along its pale surface and filled with red wax. The 13th bell responded from inside the tower. I felt one slow vibration beneath my feet. "Where did you obtain that?" Lyra asked. "The first hero donated his remains to the church." "Most people donate after death," I said. Was he asked? A few guests laughed. Oren's smile did not move. "Your jokes will not protect a half-demon." He looked directly at Sarah. The crowd shifted away from her. Her identity had spread beyond the academy overnight. Some guests whispered. Others pointed. Sarah kept both hands visible and continued recording the confrontation. She passed the truth bells test, I said. A bell is not a licensed judge. Neither is your collar, but it is trying very hard. The laughter grew. One of Oren's hunters gripped his sword. Oren lifted a hand and stopped him. At sunset, every guest will pass beneath the golden arch. When it confirms this academy is clean, I will seal your tower. If it identifies a demon, my hunters will remove the threat. He turned to the recorder crystals. Unlike school bells, the church provides certainty. Before I could answer, a wagon smashed through the edge of his white canopy. A woman jumped from the driver's seat. She had short red hair, a leather apron, and a hammer tucked through her belt. Bronze pipes, gears, and 2 enormous tool chests filled the wagon. She examined the torn canopy. That cloth was too close to the service road, she said. Oren stared at her. Who are you? Nola. She held up a bellwright seal bearing the same mark carved beneath the western bells. The academy director had requested an independent expert after Garen's arrest. Nola was the last heir of the master who had built the tower. She treated bishops like badly placed furniture. Oren pointed at the wagon. You interrupted a church inspection. Then place your inspection somewhere that a wagon cannot defeat it. The crowd laughed again. Nola walked around the golden arch. She tapped it once with her hammer and listened. Decorative shell, she announced. Small detection crystal inside, worth perhaps 40 gold. The priests stopped praising its 500 gold price. Oren's smile finally weakened. Nola joined us at the tower. She inspected my repairs, corrected 3 knots, and told me I held a hammer incorrectly. I trusted her immediately. We showed her the 13th chamber, while Clarity's passive sense guided us to the seals. She examined the narrow socket at the crown and the bone dust beneath it. My ancestor designed this bell without a tongue, she said. The socket was added later. What would the bone do? Sarah asked. A normal tongue lets a bell speak. This one would force it to repeat the will of whoever holds the bone. It is not a tongue, it is a control spike. Oren intended to wake the old directors and command them. The festival gave us less than 6 hours to prepare. The guard bell hung on the 5th level. Its bronze was divided into 12 panels, each showing a defender with a shield. The main axle had been removed. 4 resonance pipes leading from it to the festival square had been sealed with lead. Nola estimated the repair at 40 gold. I had 99. I paid before my courage could begin making cheaper suggestions. Ronan carried the new axle up 5 levels. He refused help for the first 3. On the 4th, he developed the expression of a refrigerator with anger problems. Your useless class has heavy equipment, he said. That is why monsters rarely steal bells. I am beginning to understand their wisdom. Lyra cleaned the 12 bronze panels. Sarah assigned council members to clear the old resonance pipes. Nola fitted the axle. I replaced the lead seals with tuned copper rings. Hundreds of guests watched through the tower doors. Rumors moved across the festival. Some said I would expose 100 demons. Others said Oren would burn the tower. When the guard bell settled onto its axle, 12 deep voices entered my mind. A true strike would cost 80 points of resonance. It would summon 12 wardens who had died defending the tower. They would remain for 13 minutes. They could not leave the range of the connected bells, and they would protect lives before property. Restoring it raised my level from 10 to 13. My maximum resonance climbed from 130 to 190. 4 true voices now answered me. Clarity, Mercy, Truth, Guard. The second hidden class name awakened. Lord of Bells. The change did not make my arms stronger or place armor on my body. It allowed me to send one bell's voice through the resonance path of another. If the old pipes reached the festival square, Clarity could cover the entire field instead of 30 paces. The expanded strike would cost 70 resonance. At sunset, the church began its demonstration. 8,000 guests packed the square. They walked beneath the golden arch in groups of 10. White light examined each face. The hunters displayed their small sun detectors. Priests announced every clean result. the arch tested more than 1,000 people and detected nothing. Oren stood on a raised platform beside the silver case. He spread his arms toward the recorder crystals. The church confirms that no demon has entered this festival. Fear was created by an unstable service class and a corrupted bell. The guests looked toward the western tower. He had given me the audience. He had given me the comparison. All I needed was a result. I stood beside the clarity bell. Lyra held the stabilizing rope. Nola watched the copper gauges. Sarah and Ronan waited in the square below. "The pipes are open," Nola said. "The field contains 8,000 people," Lyra said. "If the bell reflects every illusion, the sound may return through you." "How bad?" "You may hear 8,000 echoes. That is less alarming than 8,000 demons." Those were not the choices. The golden arch flashed clean again. I pulled the clarity rope. The true note entered all 4 resonance pipes. Blue light burst from the western tower. It raced beneath the festival stones, climbed the decorative bells, and erupted across the entire square. Every magical disguise failed at once. The first demon stood in the children's puppet tent. Its smiling human face broke into a black snout with 4 yellow eyes. 6 merchants grew horns. 9 musicians unfolded claws from beneath their sleeves. 20 guests lost false shadows. 2 of Oren's 13 hunters changed before the recorder crystals. Their white armor split around scaled shoulders. The crowd began counting. The final number was 83. 8,000 people stared at Oren's golden arch. It still shone green and announced that everyone was clean. Then, the expanded clarity note entered its decorative shell. The false gold peeled away. Cheap wood appeared beneath it. The tiny detection crystal inside gave one embarrassed spark, melted, and dropped into a collection bucket. The 500 gold detector had become a 40 gold coat rack. Someone laughed. The laugh moved through the square like fire through dry grass. Even frightened guests joined it when they understood what they had seen. Oren raised both hands. "The half-demon has corrupted the test. Arrest Sarah!" The 2 exposed hunters drew their swords and attacked the human hunters beside them. The remaining demons moved together. The puppet tent exploded. Black chains rose from beneath the food stalls. A horned captain tore away his human skin and shouted an order in the demon language. The festival became a battlefield. People ran in every direction. Tables overturned. Floating wooden horses continued moving in a cheerful circle while 3 demons chased children between them. One horse struck a demon in the head and completed its route with professional calm. Sarah leaped onto the ride. Red fire formed around her hands. She broke the chains trapping the children and directed them toward the tower. Ronan met a scaled demon in the center of the square. Without his illegal brace, his flame was smaller but steady. He blocked one strike, then drove the attacker into the broken golden arch. 62nd place, he shouted, is still above you." The human hunters formed a defensive line, but 83 enemies surrounded them. City guards could not enter through the fleeing crowd. I had used 70 of 190 resonance. The guard bell required 80. Mercy would need whatever remained. I pulled the second rope. The guard bell rang. 12 bronze panels opened. 12 figures stepped from the sound. They wore armor from different centuries. One carried a round shield. One held a broken spear. Another appeared in an old cooking apron with an axe in each hand. All 12 bore the western tower mark. They dropped from the 5th level without falling. Bronze light carried them into the square. The first warden landed between the demons and the children. His shield expanded into a wall. The second struck the black chains and shattered them. The cook caught a clawed attacker by the ankle and threw it through a sugar cake stall. White powder covered the demon from horns to feet. It rose, looking like an angry pastry. For 13 minutes, the wardens controlled the square. They did not chase treasure or protect the festival decorations. They moved toward lives in danger. Guests saw exactly whom the bell considered a threat. The wardens passed Sarah without attacking. 2 fought beside her as she carried children from the puppet tent. By the time Sarah reached the tower, children clung to her neck and hands. She had saved 47 of them in front of thousands of witnesses. The horned captain charged the tower. He knew the wardens would vanish when the 13th minute ended. He climbed the outer wall and smashed through the 5th-level window. I had no sword. Lyra held a short ritual staff. Nola had a hammer. The captain looked at us and laughed. The bells end when the ringer dies. That is a reasonable theory, I said. I stepped aside. Nola released the axle brake behind me. The guard bell rotated half a turn. Its 12-ton frame struck the captain and launched him back through the window. He crossed the festival square in the wrong direction and landed inside Oren's white canopy. 8,000 witnesses saw him arrive. The 12 wardens reached the canopy 1 second later. The captain's confidence ended before the 13th minute did. When the wardens vanished, city guards surrounded the remaining demons. 32 had been destroyed. 51 were bound in bronze light. Every recorder crystal carried the final count beyond the academy. My level rose from 13 to 15. My maximum resonance increased from 190 to 250. I spent the remaining 100 points through the mercy bell, healing cuts, burns, and broken bones across the square. The returning exhaustion nearly drove me to the floor, but Lyra locked one arm around my waist and kept me beside the rope. "You are not falling in front of 8,000 people," she said. "Is that medical care?" "Reputation management." The city paid 5 gold for each exposed demon. 83 bounties produced 415 gold. The Festival Council added 300 gold for preventing a massacre. After spending 40 on the guard bell, my wealth rose from 99 to 774 gold. The Academy awarded 1,600 merit points. My total became 2,000. My name passed the remaining 11 students and reached first place. The public board shone above the damaged square. The bell ringer who had started at the bottom now stood at the top. Students shouted my name. Merchants who had hidden behind the tower offered free food. The same guests who had trusted the church detector pointed at its melted crystal and demanded their inspection fees back. Oren was gone. During the battle, he had taken the silver case and entered the sealed passage beneath the main chapel. Sarah's council found the door, but a church barrier blocked it. We could not pursue immediately. Hundreds of people still needed shelter, food, and counting. The tower cottage became a kitchen. Lyra filled the largest pot with beef broth, thick noodles, onions, and strips of roasted meat from the festival stalls. Nola added pepper. Sarah organized bowls. Ronan carried water without being asked. Roasted apples waited beside the stove. Their skins had split around soft centers filled with butter, cinnamon, and honey. The warm smell covered smoke from the battlefield. We ate on the tower steps with students, guards, and children. A little girl who had ridden the floating horse gave Sarah half an apple. Sarah accepted it as if it were a royal medal. Lyra sat beside me and wrapped clean cloth around my ears. Thin lines of blood had dried beneath them. "You called me Lord of Bells in the square," I said. There were 8,000 people listening. It sounded official. "And now?" She tied the bandage gently. "Now you are Evan. You were Evan when you repaired the first rope, and you will still be Evan if the board changes tomorrow." The beef broth was hot. The apple was sweet. Her shoulder rested against mine for only a moment, but I noticed it more clearly than the cheering outside. Then, every bowl on the steps began to vibrate. The western tower groaned. High above us, the sealed 13th bell started swinging without a tongue. Each silent movement pushed cold air across the academy. The voices of the former directors entered my bones. Oren had carried the first hero's bone into the chamber beneath the tower. The false tongue was already opening a path through the old seals. The voices gave us until sunrise. If the bone was not returned, Aster Academy would stop being a school. It would become a gate. Before dawn, Lyra made breakfast while the academy prepared for another battle. She fried eggs in butter until their edges became crisp. Thick slices of bread browned beside them. She added smoked meat, soft white cheese, and a small dish of honey. Strong tea steamed in clay cups. Outside, guards carried wounded people away from the festival square. Student council members built barriers around the western tower. Far below us, Oren continued cutting through the seals. For 10 minutes, Lyra refused to let any of that enter the cottage. "Eat," she said. "The gate opens at sunrise. Then you need to be full before sunrise." I ate. The egg yolk spread across the hot bread. The smoked meat was salty, and the honey softened the strong tea. My hands stopped shaking from the previous day's bells. Lyra sat across from me. She had changed the bandages around my ears. Her own hands carried new rope burns. "The true voices will not recover until the first light," she said. "I know. That gives us less than an hour after they return. Closer to 7 minutes. That was not more comforting. I had 250 points of resonance. The 4 awakened bells would consume all of it. The 13th required more than I possessed. "If you overdraw again, you may lose your hearing," Lyra said. "For how long?" "Nola thinks 13 days. That is specific. The bell likes one number too much." She reached across the table and closed my fingers around the warm cup. "Come back able to hear me." "I will come back," I said. She accepted the part I could promise. Nola waited in the 13th chamber with the original plans spread across the floor. Sarah stood beside a row of recorder crystals. Ronan held his sword and tried not to look at the enormous black bell above him. "I have good news," Nola said. "The bell was never designed to use a physical tongue." "And the bad news?" Ronan asked. "A living keeper must replace it." Nola showed us 4 lines engraved beneath the plans. The 13th bell would answer only after a keeper proved clarity, mercy, truth, and defense. The 4 awakened voices formed its real key. The person who carried them had to stand beneath the crown and give the bell a heartbeat to follow. The bone tongue did the opposite. It used the first hero's remains to command the dead. When Orin inserted it, he would wake the former directors as servants and turn the academy seal into a gate. "Can we remove it?" Sarah asked. "After the false ring begins, only the true ring can reject it." The floor shook. One of the lower seals broke. Sarah activated the recorder crystals. Festival crystals still surrounded the square. Their images connected to public mirrors in 17 cities. Anything that happened beneath the tower would be visible outside. "Orin used witnesses to condemn us," she said. "We will use witnesses to judge him." The 4 of us descended through the hidden stair. Lyra remained at the central rope frame. From there, she could stabilize every bell and carry my signals. Nola went with her to control the resonance pipes. Sarah, Ronan, and I entered the passage beneath the chapel. It led into a round chamber under the tower. Ancient director portraits covered the walls. Their painted eyes were closed. At the center, Orin stood beside a stone frame. The bone tongue hung inside it, connected to the black bell by red lines of magic. His 11 human hunters formed a circle around him. Black chains forced 6 captured festival demons to kneel around the frame. "You are late," he said. "Sunrise has not arrived," I replied. "You think your bells will save you when their voices return. I know their limits. Garen sent me every record." "Garen sent you records about bells he never repaired." Orin touched the bone. "I do not need repaired bells. I need obedient heroes." The recorder crystals projected his face into the festival square. Thousands of survivors watched. Orin noticed the crystals and smiled. "Good. Let them witness salvation." He believed he would win in public. That confidence made him easier to measure. Sarah stepped forward. "You allowed demons through the festival gates. Your blood is speaking." "My blood carried 47 children out of your attack. What did yours do?" The question reached the square. A roar answered through the recorder crystal. Orin's smile tightened. The first line of sunlight touched the upper tower. All 4 true voices returned at once. Orin drove the bone tongue into the stone frame. The 13th bell gave a false strike. There was no sound. Every shadow in the underground chamber fell toward the center. The painted directors opened red eyes. A vertical crack appeared in the air behind Orin, and hot wind entered from somewhere that had no sky. Demons moved beyond the crack. I pulled the first control key. Lyra rang clarity above us. 70 points of resonance vanished. Blue light poured through the chamber. It stripped the white paint from Oren's stone frame and revealed the mechanism beneath it. The golden church symbols were false covers. Demon runes formed the real circle. Red control lines ran from the first hero's bone into every director portrait. The light also passed over Oren's 11 hunters. Hidden obedience brands appeared on 3 hunters. All 11 stared at the revealed runes around their bishop. The crowd outside saw everything. Oren raised his staff. Illusions can be created by another illusion. Do not trust your eyes. I used the second key. The truth bell rang. 40 more resonance left me. Silver light settled over the chamber and flowed through the recorder crystals into the square. Why did you let the 83 demons enter the festival? I asked. Oren tried to close his mouth. The truth forced it open. I paid their captain 900 gold to enter through the East Service Gate. I needed an attack large enough to justify taking the academy under church control. I expected my hunters to kill them after the bone tongue woke the directors. The answer reached 8,000 witnesses and 17 cities. His human hunters lowered their weapons. Outside, the crowd began shouting for his arrest. Oren's face hardened. My son died at the northern gate while academy heroes argued over authority, he said. 37 soldiers died with him. The old directors could have ended that breach in 1 minute. They were dead, silent, and useless because weak men feared controlling them. I will not repeat their weakness. The bell confirmed that his grief was real. It also confirmed that he had traded 83 demons access to a school. How many students are you willing to sacrifice? Sarah asked. As many as necessary. That answer ended the loyalty of his remaining hunters. They moved away from the stone frame. Oren struck the floor with his staff. The obedience brands around 3 hunters tightened. They fell. The 6 chained demons rose as the red lines entered their bodies. The gate widened. I used the third key. The guard bell answered. 80 points disappeared. I had 60 left. 12 wardens stepped from the director portraits. They entered the underground chamber with shields raised. The old cook arrived first, still carrying both axes. She looked at the demon gate, looked at Oren, and struck him across the chest with the flat side of an axe. His gold collar spun through the air and landed around the neck of a kneeling demon. For one confused moment, the demon looked like a very nervous bishop. The festival square erupted with laughter. Oren crashed against the wall. His white robes tangled around his legs as he stood. "Kill the bell ringer!" he shouted. The chained demons attacked. Ronan met the first with the narrow flame blade he had honestly earned and held the line. Sarah broke the control chain around another demon and turned its force against the stone frame. The 11 hunters cut the brands from their fallen companions. The wardens protected them all. Their 13 minutes began counting down. Oren reached the bone tongue and pushed it deeper. The red lines pulled life from the branded hunters. Skin went pale. Old wounds opened across the chamber. Ronan took a claw across his side. Sarah fell beneath a broken chain. I had 60 resonance left. The mercy bell waited. If I spent everything, I would have nothing for the 13th bell. That was the trap. Oren expected me to choose power over wounded people. A keeper who made that choice could never become the true tongue. I used the 4th key. Mercy rang. All 60 points left me. Golden light entered the underground chamber. It healed Ronan's side. It closed the wounds of the branded hunters. It restored Sarah's shoulder and removed the black burns from the people Oren had used as fuel. The exhaustion returned through me. My legs failed. I caught the stone frame with both hands and remained upright. The 4 bells began speaking together. Clarity exposed the false path. Truth named the crime. Guard protected the living. Mercy refused the sacrifice. The black bell above us answered. The final hidden class name opened inside me. Keeper of the 13th chime. Nola's voice came through the resonance pipe. The true path is open, Evan. Remove the bone. Oren stood between me and the frame. His staff glowed white in one hand and red in the other. You have no resonance left, he said. I counted. He attacked. Ronan intercepted the white strike. His fire blade broke, but the blow turned aside. Sarah caught the red end of the staff with both hands. Demon fire burned around her fingers. "Go," she said. I reached the frame. Oren pulled against them. Ronan's boots slid across the stone. Sarah's hands smoked. Neither released him. I placed both palms around the first hero's bone. It was cold. Memories that were not mine flashed through me. A battlefield beneath a black sun. 13 towers. A man breaking his own arm beside a bell. Then a rainy street in my first world and my delivery van beneath a church roof. I pulled. The bone tongue came free. The false ring stopped. For one heartbeat, the gate remained open. Then it began expanding without the bone. Oren laughed. "You removed the only tool that could command them. The dead will wake without a master, and the gate will consume all of you." The 27 director portraits opened their mouths. I could hear their fear inside the black bell. There was only one remaining price I could pay. I climbed the central frame until my head and shoulders entered the hollow space beneath the 13th bell. 4 resonance lines connected to the marks inside my class. My empty reserve burned. Lyra understood first. Her voice reached me through every tower rope. "Evan, do not give it your life. Only my hearing. For 13 days. You can tell me what I miss afterward." The chamber shook. Stone fell from the ceiling. Beyond the gate, a vast hand reached toward the opening. I pressed one palm to the black bronze. My heartbeat became the tongue. The 13th bell rang. Sound disappeared from the world. I felt the strike instead. It passed through my skull, my spine, the academy, and every bell connected to the tower. The black bronze released a wave of clear light that crossed the festival square and continued toward all 17 cities receiving the record. The demon hand stopped. The gate folded inward. 27 figures stepped out of the portraits at once. They wore director robes from 300 years of academy history. Some carried swords, some carried books. One still wore sleeping clothes and looked deeply offended by the timing. The former directors faced the gate. 27 seals struck together. The crack closed. The underground chamber became still. I saw mouths moving, but heard nothing. The price had been exact. My hearing was gone. The oldest director examined the bone in my hand. She touched the cut surface, then turned toward Oren. Silver chains rose from the academy floor and wrapped around him. His staff broke. His white robe lost every church mark. Sarah held a slate where I could read it. The directors were speaking through every recorder crystal. They confirmed that the church had stolen the first hero's bone. They confirmed that Oren had corrupted the academy seal. They stripped him of authority and ordered the city guard to arrest him. Oren was forced to kneel before the same 8,000 people he had planned to frighten into obedience. The crowd pointed at the two of them. Even without sound, I understood why they were laughing. My level rose from 15 to 20. My maximum resonance increased from 250 to 500. The title, Keeper of the 13th Chime, replaced the service class that had started with 0 skills. The Academy recovered Oren's hidden accounts. 1,000 gold was awarded to me under the law for stopping an illegal gate. My personal wealth rose from 774 to 1,774 gold. 5,000 gold more entered a protected tower repair fund. I could use it for bells, ropes, rooms, and wages, but not for a comfortable house in another country. Nola called that an important safety measure. My merit total increased from 2,000 to 5,000. I remained first at Aster Academy. The National Support Board placed me at 47th in the kingdom. The ranking crystals displayed every change to the festival square. 4 days earlier, 800 students had watched Garen tie a gray service cord around my arm. Now, 8,000 people watched the academy director remove it. Lyra stopped him before he could throw it away. She folded the cord and placed it in my pocket. I understood. The cord was not proof that they had been right about me. It was proof that they had been wrong. Ronan stood nearby with a bandage around his side. He wrote on Sarah's slate that honest 62nd place felt better than false third. Sarah added that he should not expect praise for discovering arithmetic. Oren left in chains. Nobody bowed. By evening, the tower cottage smelled of fresh bread and beef soup again. Lyra placed a bowl in front of me. I could not hear the spoon touch the clay, but I felt the warmth through my hands. Melted cheese covered the bread. Herbs and roasted onions floated in the dark broth. She sat beside me with a slate. 13 days, she wrote. Then I expect you to listen when I tell you not to overdraw. I wrote beneath it. I listened before. I made a different calculation. She frowned. Then she wrote, when your hearing returns, what do you want to hear first? I looked at her. She had seen me before the first bell woke, before the gold, before the rankings, and before 8,000 people learned my name. I wrote one word. You. Her face turned red. She tried to hide it behind her teacup. The cup was too small for the job. For the first time in 4 days, the academy felt safe. That lasted until the first hero stepped from the bone on our table. He appeared as a pale figure no taller than the lamp. Armor covered one shoulder. The other arm ended below the elbow where the church had taken the bone. I could not hear his voice. I felt it inside my skeleton, exactly as I had felt the first hidden chime. He looked at me with recognition. Then he spoke the name I had used in my first world, a name nobody in this world could know. The church bell that killed me had belonged to him. It had not fallen by accident. They had sent it across worlds to bring me here because 6 other 13th bells had already begun to ring.